Hi, this is Dee at Aloha Astro, and today is Sunday, March the 28th, 2021, and we're looking at a full moon occurring in the cardinal air sign of Libra today. It will be happening at 8 degrees 18 minutes of Libra at 2:48 p.m. Eastern Time. So let's take a look at the forecast that I've written. Full moon in Libra, Sunday, March 28th. Highlights your interactions with others and how you feel about them, as the moon in the relationship-minded cardinal air sign opposes the Sun, Chiron, and Venus, the planet of affection and desire, in the cardinal fire sign of self-determining Aries. The finer qualities of the Libra moon, such as diplomacy, courtesy, equality, and cooperation, are enhanced by a grand trine in the air element involving constructive Saturn in future-oriented Aquarius and action-taking Mars in curious Gemini. That uplifting grand trine is carried further to the point of personal decision, as Mars and Saturn form sextile aspects with the Aries Sun, Chiron, and Venus to create a kite aspect pattern. Even though the full moon is in the sign that says we, that grand trine and kite place greater focus upon the I in relationship. Mercury conjunct Neptune in Pisces, square to Mars, can feel like Mercury retrograde when it comes to communication, with doubts, misunderstandings, disappointment, or surreal situations being the current norm. A tense square aspect between Saturn in unpredictable Aquarius and Uranus in security-minded Taurus contributes to resistance or distrust over change. Review your relationships, make your decisions, and clearly communicate your intentions to the other person. Now is not the time for sitting in limbo. Whether a relationship is in need of commitment, change, or farewell, own your part of it, show up, and do the work. Let's take a look at the picture of the view up in the sky right now and where the planets are sitting. We're over at planetwatcher.com. And here you can see the moon in the grand trine with Mars, and it is conjunct the North Node in Gemini as well, so there can be a very purposeful or fated or destined feeling to decisions that you make today. Here is the opposition going on to Venus and Chiron and the Sun, all in Aries, all at the same degree. So this is pretty intense, and it does focus more on you and what you are doing in the relationship or what you can do for the relationship. It's not just about the other person, but some self-responsibility is going to be an important part overall of this full moon in Libra, where we have a lot of emphasis on the Aries energy opposite, and the kite is where we find all the energy of the grand trine and the opposition here being directed toward the Sun, Chiron, and Venus, all in Aries. We see Saturn getting pulled into the mix and Mars in the North Node. Basically, it's decision time to take some action and look toward the future and be serious about it and own your part in it, whatever it might be. It's not just, oh, the other person and what they might be doing to you. It's also what you're doing in this situation. Here's that square where we have a little bit of fogginess with Mercury conjunct Neptune that really is very fantastical and imaginative, can also slip into victim, savior, martyr thinking. And then the square it makes to Mars in Gemini, it's basically saying stop the vacillating, stop the pretending, get real, deal with things, and either accept and forgive or let go, but one way or the other you have to deal with things on both a mental level and to a certain degree a spiritual level, because you could be holding yourself back from a better future if you are clinging to something from the past that is not going to be working out or is not for the best for you in some way. So you definitely want to look at where you've got some discomfort or things are not going as you wish them to be, and then think about some constructive actions and some self-responsibility, or what can you do to get out of your situation. And the square that we have going on here between Saturn and Uranus, that's that resistance to new things or change, or the fear of giving up something that you might already have, where we think of expressions like better the devil you know than the devil you don't, but you won't know really truly unless you give it a try. And we do have this quincunx between the moon and Uranus that is giving you that type of a nudge. You won't know unless you try. You won't know unless you commit to taking some action or working at change, whether it's improving yourself or communicating what your discomfort is with another person. But you have to open up and express those feelings and be prepared to have somebody talk back to you and tell you what their problems are with you. It's a two-way street when the moon's in Libra. So a lot of energy, most of it positive. Always a good day when we have a grand trine. There's flow between these planets, so a lot can get done. Now, on the level of emotional expression, which can be a very creative thing, Libra does rule, it's Venus ruled. So the idea of perfection, harmony, balance, beauty comes through, and Libra is associated with music, dance, design, architecture. If you are a creative person, then today is going to be a very good day for you with this grand trine and that kite, where you might find that sweet spot or that ability to express something more perfectly as you would like it to be. Very often, I know for creators, there's a frustration over not being able to bring forward their vision and feeling like they're falling short somehow. But that limitation can be overcome today, or there can be a greater sense of satisfaction if you put your energy into your creativity today. I think that you're going to be pleased with the result because of this grand trine and kite. So do put forth a lot of creative energy if you are an artist in some way, and make the most of this full moon. Let's take a look at the Sabian symbol that we have for today. Well, we round up from 8 degrees 18 minutes to 9 degrees. 3 old masters hanging on the wall of a special room in an art gallery. Keynote: the need to return to source during a confused search for new value in a chaotic society. There are always moments which focus in our minds the longing to reground ourselves in the great achievements of the past. The number 3 suggests completeness. Esoteric traditions speaking of the threefold soul, or of 3 fundamental rays of power, of love, wisdom, and of intelligence in action. Meditation, in its deepest sense, is a return to source, an attempt to re-identify oneself with one's archetypal essence of being, which is triune in manifestation. And now, after confused but challenging wanderings, to identify oneself consciously with this essence. The finer forms of one's culture provide the means to do this. The great moments of the collective past become an inspiration for new, yet sound beginnings. The seed of tomorrow salutes the seed of yesteryear. At this 4th stage of the 38th sequence, it is suggested that in the process of transfiguration, the presence of the greatest moments of the past is called upon, as Moses and Elijah were invoked in Jesus' transfiguration. The seed of the new day depends upon the seed of yesteryear for an experience of the cyclic continuity of spirit. This is the basis for the institutionalized ideal of apostolic succession, the Guru Ampara, an uninterrupted chain of gurus of Indian tradition. Wow, that's a lot of thought that comes up for me in that. It's interesting that when I do the horoscope, I look at what's going on in the sky, then I go off and find an image that I feel is going to express what's going on, and then I write. So I had this idea of 3 and the choices that we make in relationships, and that it's not always easy, that we don't always have just one or another thing, that we have that triplicity going on with the Grand Trine today associated with this full moon, that there are 3 points there to that triangle, and that involves the integration with the kite pointing to the idea of self, where we have 3 planetary bodies right now all together, and I did get that number 3 coming up repeatedly, and the idea of decision making. I don't know about the past here so much as there is the Piscean energy right now with Mercury and Neptune in Pisces, where we do have the memories and the longing and the idea of the continuity coming up there. And Saturn, of course, has to do with tradition, but we're reevaluating our old traditions and coming up with new ones right now as a society as a whole. Things that were accepted in the past are not necessarily accepted today, but we are having to adapt and change and sometimes retire some older things that our culture believed in or supported. So as a whole for society right now, I look at this as a means of coming together and combining energies. And on a personal level, you may be reluctant to give up some things from the past, but I feel a lot more of the integration toward the new with the current emphasis on Aries, that certainly you're not going to throw away your entire past, but we're moving toward greater new beginnings with the current Aries energy. The Sabian symbol is always an interesting thing to see, what degree the moon is in at lunation, new moon, full moon, and see if it means anything to you. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. I do definitely feel that triplicity energy going on, and bringing a triangle, into a balance so that all 3 points work, and then directing it toward one thing. There's tension in that, in the opposition here between the moon and the sun, but there's a very strong force driving everything toward that integration. Anyway, that's what comes up for me, and until the next time that we are together at a new moon coming up in about 2 weeks, stay safe and healthy, and you can always reach out to me, at my site, or schedule an appointment, or order a recorded reading. There's plenty of options here at the astrology link, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.